Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to talk about this headline here. It was on this censored network on October 25th, but the net zero, where we can't emit any carbon dioxide or I guess any greenhouse gases. I'm not sure about that, but the Finnish government did a report and it said the world does not have enough lithium and cobalt to replace batteries every 10 years. So, Censored Network, of course, ran with it because anything that is, just global warming is not real or we can't do what they're doing, they'll run with now. Um, we just did a video about this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, but censored news will not, for a decade or more now, tell you that there's actual solutions. And if the environmental voices out there would get on board actual solutions, we would have already solved this problem. And we wouldn't be talking about ridiculous electric vehicles right now. But um, this band network and its leader, Alex Mr. Jones, he and the crew there, not one of them can be interested in doing real journalism and giving you real um, information and truth because they just won't talk anything about our one livable planet if it isn't global warming's not real. That's it. End of story. That's all we report. They're really very limited thinkers when it comes to this topic. But this report, um, it was done by Associate Professor Simon Michaux. Michaux. I'm not sure how you say that exactly. He was referring to the UK's 2050 net zero target, and Simon, we'll just call him Simon. Simon says, we all know that game, right? So Simon says, no, no, there is simply not enough time nor resources to do this by the current target. And there's also not a need, but that's just another video, I guess. So he said, Simon says that in theory there are enough global reserves of nickel and lithium if they are exclusively used to produce batteries for vehicles, but there is not enough cobalt and more will need to be discovered. It gets much worse. All new batteries have a useful working life of only 8 to 10 years, so replacements will be needed regularly. This is unlikely to be practical, which suggests the whole EV, electric vehicle battery solution, may need to be rethought and a new solution is developed that is not so mineral intensive. Oh, what could that new solution be? How about hemp? I did a video about hemp batteries, and hemp can be used for everything. Henry Ford built a car out of hemp and ran it on hemp fuel. You don't even need hemp batteries. We don't need to be talking all of this, EV ridiculousness. But no news will tell you any actual real news, real responsible environmental information. So we're we're stuck with this, but Simon says that this transition to EVs will not fully go as planned. He sends some clear warning message. Current expectations are that global industrial businesses will replace a complex industrial energy ecosystem that took more than a century to build. It was built with the support of the highest um, fiscally dense source of energy the world has ever known, talking about oil and cheap, abundant qualities with an easily available credit and seamlessly unlimited natural mineral reserves. The replacement, he notes, needs to be done when there is comparatively very expensive energy, a fragile finance system saturated in debt, and not enough minerals. Most challenging of all, it has to be done within a few decades, and he says that's not really going to go as planned. And then, yes, Sir David Attenborough, the guy's an idiot. He has no solutions. He's just, out there calling for solutions. David Attenborough did a Frozen Planet 2, demanding the world embrace net zero, no matter how challenging it may be. Well, David Attenborough's an idiot, and David Attenborough, he's with the Royals now with their Earthshot, and they won't allow solutions. Okay, David Attenborough, he's out there promoting Greta, who has no solutions, and David has no interest in actual real solutions that would solve this problem and would take away any talk about any ridiculous electric vehicles or net zero. The environmental educator had never talked about net zero. We can significantly reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, because that would go hand in hand with just living responsibly, ending our disposable society, gaining individual cooperation, converting to hemp to be used for everything. And not just greenhouse gases, but it would reduce the toxins and the many toxins and many pollutants that get into our air, in our soil, in our water, and we ingest them. And then humans, I've said this before a bunch of times in videos, but all the independent media that won't give you any real environmental information and just talk global warming's not real. We know, they don't know, but they yap about it. But a lot of them sell detox products to get all of the toxins that get into your body out because they're not good for you. But if we just lived responsibly, we wouldn't have those toxins along with the greenhouse gases and a lot of other pollutants. So, David Attenborough, he's just ridiculous, and along with everybody that he associates himself with. But that's why he has a name for himself, because he is ridiculous. He has no solutions. He won't allow solutions. And he's, that lets you get into the whole big group of every environmental voice out there that has the same list of credentials. No solutions. They bring nothing to the table except screaming for solutions. And they're all a bunch of idiots, and they're all directing you to this net zero, which really isn't even feasible and maybe isn't even necessary. And, of course, this article, like most, point out that China, is full on with oil and gas exploration, and they have no plans to, eventually zero out carbon emissions, eventually, but when it would be prudent. Okay, but for right now, they're full ahead with however much, pollution and greenhouse gas emissions they have to do, and nobody's breathing down their neck. But Simon points out that nearly 85% of the world's energy comes from fossil fuels. By his calculation, the annual global capacity of non-fossil electric power will need to quadruple the 37,670.6 TWH. That's something of kilowatts, probably, that they use over there in Europe. But Professor Michael Kelly estimates that the UK electric grid would have to expand by 2.7 times. This will involve adding capacity at 8 times the rate it has been added over the last 30 years. If calculations are made for for the need to rewire homes, streets, and local substations and power lines to carry the new capacity. The extra cost could be nearly a trillion euros. I believe that's the symbol for euro. But so Europe has a Green New Deal too. Well, Green Deal doesn't say Green New Deal, just Green Deal. And like like the ridiculous Green's newest disaster in America, it is all but certain to break Europe's economic and um, socio-political power, rendering a trivial and incapable backwater reliant on and subservient to superior powers. And speaking of political powers, Simon here, net zero is a political command and control project, the full horror of which is yet to be inflicted on the general population. Simon is quite clear what it entails. What may be required, therefore, is a significant reduction of societal demand for all resources of all kinds. This implies a very different social contract and a radically different system of governments of what is in place today. So that's basically what it comes down to. This is a power play. China is going to, um, you know, convert to net zero when it's prudent for them. But the West, and when China, they would do it in the principle of getting the new before discarding the old. They would have the new system ready to take over before they got rid of the old system. But in Europe and in America right now, we are getting rid of the old without a new system to take it over. And that is very much by design. That is the intent. There is just no getting around it. And worse, Band Network here, as I've said a gazillion times before, just will not give you real information, that there's actual, just real, logical, sensible, needed, immediately implementable, that would have immediate positive benefits, but they will not be journalists and present you good information, even though this article is ended with is saying better costed and more rational views are available. yeah, they are. It's just too bad no one will tell you about that. So tonight, I emailed Censored Network. This is their general tips line, and I'm like, your audience will never know this truth until you finally be journalists and report it. But I tell them to report the truth on the subject you talk a lot about, do your job, and guess what? Your audience in the world wants to know all environmental voices are preventing solutions frauds. The world doesn't know they want that truth because they don't know they're being fed a lie. But when they learn the truth, you will learn they wanted to know it. But is Alex and his team over here at Censored News going to provide you actual, real, good environmental information and get us so that we take up hemp and we could just eliminate this whole conversation about electric cars and so much else? No, no. Well, at least they have them for 10 years. But I certainly keep trying. And in the meantime, they keep being like all the propaganda outlets that they allegedly are in line to counter, in working to counter. But on this subject, they won't. There's a bunch of subjects that they do. They actually present truth that the propaganda outlets just, they do their job of giving you propaganda. But when it comes down to this very important subject, that the censored news and all the other independent truth medias, and I say truth with air quotes, no one but no one will actually give good environmental information. Sometimes I think this channel should be called the Broken Record, because it's that's not the first time I've said that, and it won't be the last. But the thing is it is the truth. And the bottom line here is electric vehicles. I have in every video I've done about them, they are no solution. They are nothing to be working on. Elon says that he's the most environmental person out there. He's not. He's just the one that has a lot of government subsidies because he's promoting their agenda. But the most environmental person out there just isn't allowed to be out there. And I would be out there if news would do their job. But that's not happening anytime soon. I keep trying. So just know that every time you read one of their very not fully informs the public of the actual real situation, that we have articles. So stay tuned, people.